watch videos on YouTube or like other social media platforms, I often wonder what's the story behind that person, how they got to the point where they are now, how did they develop the theories they are expressing. Because with that I can understand where I am at, and if I share their points, their beliefs, their experiences, whether we had completely different lives. So in case you're also curious about my journey, I'm going to explain a bit of my path in this video. And so if you are curious, just keep watching the video after the intro. Welcome back everyone, my name is Annette and this is my channel Integrated Spirituality, where I try to help people to develop an independent interpretation of reality and trying to understand together how spirituality is integrated in our everyday life. So what is this video going to be about? Actually, at the beginning I thought it would have been better to do this type of video later in my channel, because I was like, maybe it's better to talk about what I think and like certain theories, and just later on when maybe people are interested in what I'm saying to talk about my experience. But then I was like, yeah, but actually I would prefer to know what's the past of a person, so then I can actually understand better what they believe in. So I just switched my plans, and yeah, so this video is basically going to be about my journey from, I would say from religion to spirituality. So I'm trying to make a summary of that. And of course, I always talk a lot, and I'd rather go into details because I'm always worried I'm not going to explain enough and they maybe misunderstand me, or I miss something that is very important. So yeah, what I'm going to say, of course, doesn't cover all my experiences, of course. And you're also maybe thinking, who cares about all of your experiences? We talked a lot, and I'm probably going to split this video. So the time I'm recording this, I have a plan to make just one video, but I'm probably going to split that into parts in case it gets too long. And so this first part would be more about my path, my journey, and the second part would be about some suggestions that I would like to give to walk the spiritual path from my perspective and from my experience. So I will make a kind of a temporal explanation where I'm going to start from my childhood till the recent moment. From my childhood, I can say I've always been attracted to spiritual stuff. And also, side notes, I do believe that children are very open to the spiritual realm and they feel things, they see things. It's just that later on, our society as it is now kinda leads people to believe that spirituality is just, all bullshit, and that entities, either good or bad, do not exist, and fantasy is just fantasy. So then most of the people just, I would say, like, get rationalized to the point where they do not believe into, like the spiritual dimension anymore. So going back, as a child, I've always been interested, as I said, in spiritual things, either being like books or readings, as like a lot of children, but also like I felt and I had spiritual experiences, either good or bad. I could see like maybe the aura of people, or like feeling whether they were good or bad. And as I said, these are very typical for children. And also I would say that I also met a lot of people that were spiritual, not only like directly, but also because of contacts that my family had. So I would say that my childhood was mostly influenced by spiritual beliefs, but in the meanwhile, as a child, I used to go to church. I was officially a Christian, Catholic, because that's what most of the kids used to do. At least I'm not sure about it now. in Italy. So I was doing like, the sacraments, being baptized, doing the communion. And so I used to go to church and it felt weird to me. Case, Christianity, and at least how it's taught, made me feel guilty for things I was doing that some of them is just normal as a kid and others are just like, why is it even a sin? Whatever. So I wasn't very happy to go there. And it's not that I was forced by my parents because they didn't love me. It was just, what society was doing and they kind of followed that. But yeah, so I used to go there, and when we had lessons or when we had, meetings, I was like, I used to ask questions, and I was like, why do we need to believe in these things? Like, why are we supposed to go to hell if we do this or that? Why is it even a sin? So I was like, that's being humans, right? And of course, this is going to be very summarized. They were like, yeah, they were giving their response. But when it comes to, because God said so, I was like, I'm here to learn. I'm here to ask questions. I'm here to develop my own view. I cannot believe you just because you said someone wrote these things thousands of years ago and this is it, right? So I realized I used to make uncomfortable questions to them, and they weren't giving me exhaustive answers. So I started to really detach from church. I had my whole childhood this division between me wanting to explore other possibilities and being aware that Christianity was not the only one. But yeah, I wasn't also too little, and we didn't have internet at the time, so it was also hard to find other possibilities. I was a little older, I would say around 11, 12 years old. We had a bit of internet, and it was the time where forums were a thing, and people used to share their ideas and things like that, and I could start, buying some books about witchcraft and things like that, because in that period, so when I was, as I said, 11, 12, that's when in Italy we do the confirmation. And that's actually when I was started to be interested in witchcraft and especially Wicca. Discovered, the duality. As I said, I cannot say everything I went through because I keep changing my ideas, or at least I kept changing my ideas every few months. So yeah, in that moment, in that period, I was very into Wicca, and I thought it was actually opening my perspectives, and it actually did, because I started to believe that there isn't just one God, which is considered to be a male most of the time. I was like, yeah, there are actually two gods, a god and a goddess, and there are a male and a female. I was like, that actually makes more sense. The duality, you have both genders and both God and the goddess on the same level. I used to believe in Wicca and its teachings, but I was very bad in following, how would we say, maybe calendars or the rules of rituals and reading. So I always had kind of a rejection for studying a religion. So I used to buy, as I said, a lot of books. I read some of them, but I haven't read a lot of them and still haven't. So yeah, so I was in this period where I was kind of changing my life and my beliefs, and that was one main point in my path. The period lasted for more or less a couple of years, 2, 3 years, something like that. In the meanwhile, I was also maybe searching other religions and getting interested, in the history of religions, beliefs, just like a general exploration. And also, I was developing things myself in that period, so I kind of left Wicca. After that period, I had, kind of really not knowing what I was doing, and I was just, living life. And as I said, spiritual stuff kept happening to me in terms of meeting people, weird stuff happening, especially in the bad way. So like, I don't know, entities disturbing me when I was sleeping, or as I said, weird stuff happening in the house. So what happened is that due to certain circumstances, I got sick. In mental health terms, I got anorexic, and I had depression and anxiety, OCD, all this stuff. After that, I had in 2013 one of my biggest spiritual awakenings. And you might think, well, but you already had experiences your whole life with spirituality. That's true. But the difference is that I really moved from more of a rational space when I was trying to find my way, trying to find my religion, trying to find what I was believing in it. I moved from that space to actually feeling stuff, to actually experience stuff with your whole being. And what happened was that on one specific day, I still remember the day, I was just cycling and something clicked in my mind. And from there, I just started to feel like everything that was surrounding me. And I started to have downloads where I was channeling what I know now was my angel. And I wasn't searching experiences. Experiences were happening to me from which I was learning, and I was going into deeper dimensions and things like that. So that was my biggest spiritual awakening. And from there, I kept removing myself from strict rules. And also starting to understand I wasn't a label. I was still a bit in the mentality that I needed labels for certain aspects of my life, which I don't now. That's where I think that I really moved myself from the religion mentality and I moved myself from there to the spiritual mentality. What it means that while before, despite I was trying to find different paths, I was exploring, I still was in the space where I hoped I could find someone where I could fit in or something that could fit me. And I moved from there, which I still think comes from a space, like a justified space of insecurities and, also the fear of exploring by yourself, because maybe you fear you're doing things wrong. And if someone has, already prepared a religion, then they should be right. I moved from that space, which also causes conflicts between different religions. I moved from there to the spiritual place where you just explore, and by making experiences, you receive teachings or you develop teachings. And it's just like, try to imagine like a book full of rules, and that's religion, kinda, and then you imagine like a white paper, and you write down what you learn every time by your experiences, and then you make your own book. So from 2013, for the next more or less 5 years, I had this whole mentality. I wasn't like strictly focusing on spirituality in terms of like obsessively researching spiritual stuff, even though I made a lot of experiences that, again, is like a very general video. So from these experiences, I learned stuff, I developed my own theories, but I was also like, just living life, recovering, exploring life, exploring the beauty and also the bad of life, but just living that in a different way. So giving myself the freedom of exploring and not forcing myself to be into specific rules and schemes. I could develop myself. And it's not an easy journey, at least for me it wasn't that easy, because sometimes I still went into the mentality of being like, well, am I right? Do I have the right to just believe into whatever I want? What if I'm making stuff wrong? What if I'm just, challenging God in the sense that I'm just trying to find my own way, blah blah. But yeah, every time I was making more and more experiences to the point I was like, that's actually the right way for me. Learning about God or the universe through me, that was the way, and not really learning about me through God, kinda. I don't know if that makes sense. That's just what I just received right now. But yeah. Anyway, so after this period, I became an atheist. Yeah. So why I actually went into the toxic relationship that led me to really thinking that all the things I've experienced were just like bullshit and I was crazy and God didn't exist, and yeah, I was just really losing faith in life to the point I got depressed again, but in a very bad way, because that situation really deprived me from everything and from my life. Reasoning about it now, I can say that in a certain way it was okay because I kinda started from zero. It's actually sad sometimes because I'm like, now I recognize that what I used to live in as a child or whatever were real experiences. So the fact that I ignored them and canceled them for a while was a bit sad. But yeah, as I said, I kind of started from zero from there. I was like, I need to start from zero. And I know, as I feel now, the only thing that can save me is getting spiritual again. Because if I stop myself in the earthly reality, there's zero sense to go on. If I have experienced something like that, and I if I feel so bad, there has to be a meaning behind that. There has to be something else. Things can just stop there and be like, oh, life sucks, that's it. But this time, it wasn't a sudden spiritual awakening. I actually had to build my spirituality. And I still, and I'm going to tell you in a bit how, but I can still feel that even when I experience, and my spirituality really grew in the past years, when I experience big stuff, I still sometimes miss how I used to feel in 2013, because that was just like all over the world. Now I'm still like, I'm very rational, so I'm like, okay, is this spiritual, is it not? But yeah, I think it just had to happen in this way. So what happened in 2018, it was actually most in 2019, when I started to wanting to believe again. I used to want to believe. And as I said, I'm a very rational person, and when I was also saying that I used to be, I know it might sound confusing, this whole video, I'm sorry, my life was very confusing in these terms, but I always found the starting point in nature, what I was observing, in what I was learning at school as well, because I think like knowledge, the word, everything that surrounds us from, and when I talk about school, I mean also like mathematics. Like mathematics could teach me stuff about spirituality, and I've always started from something that you can observe to believe. So I was like, I need to find my spirituality again. I need to find God, the universe, the one, whatever, from, let's say, science, from nature, from reality. So I started to read again books about, and I actually have a book I'm going to talk about in a video, but I need to start from science, from these disciplines to believe again. So for example, if I'm studying biology, I was maybe reading again books on biology, and I was like, life is just amazing. Like, how can nature works in this perfect way, and believe that we just exist in this perfect way because it happened like that. To me, it just sounded incomplete. I was like, there has to be something else. So from there, from this type of exploration, so reading about stuff and always realizing there's much more behind that. And as I said in the first video, disciplines such as politics, science, economics, and stuff like that, they teach us the how, but from there I started to find the why, which was spirituality in everything I was reading. And of course, when you reach that point, you have to make a leap of faith to be like, okay, there has to be something bigger behind what I'm studying now. To me, it sounds logical, but I do realize that you need to make this leap of faith. And if you don't make that, then it's just science and spirituality, right? Make this leap of faith, and in my case, because I felt, and when I say I felt, it's really when you know inside you that you know something that you cannot know by just reading or whatever, but you feel it inside yourself. From there, 4 years have passed. And the past 4 years, my spirituality is what I can call integrated spirituality, in the sense that I really focus on the real world, and I try to make spiritual theories coming from there. At the same time, I made experiences where I was like, okay, there's nothing like earthly about this, more or less. And that's why with certain experiences, I was like, I'm not sure if I can consider them spiritual or I'm just, inventing stuff. But then I had confirmations. I know I'm very general right now. I'm sorry for that. These past 4 years have been filled with experiences, reflections, meetings with people, also traveling, which really helped me out. Like traveling really helped me developing a lot of spiritual theories and beliefs. So yeah, that being said, I hope you like the videos, and if you like, please press the subscribe button and activate the notification bell so you won't miss any other video. And if you want, leave a comment. I will be happy to read them and reply to you. So with that being said, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!